Hello friends, welcome back to A Dog's Life in Liechtenstein. I know it's been a little while since I've posted, but there's been Christmas, New Year, and lots of things happening in between. So I want to post 2 short videos and then we get into 2022. Just before Christmas, my husband had a conference in Paris and Arthur and I were invited along. First, we took a bus to our nearest major train station, then caught a train to Zurich, where we could then catch the superfast TGV train that could take us on to Paris in just over 4 hours. In Liechtenstein, poor Arthur has to wear a muzzle when using public transport, and takes him a bit to get used to it each time. It wasn't long before we were settled onto the fast train and watching the French countryside flashing past. The TGV has a top speed of 320 kilometers an hour, which is 198 miles per hour. Arthur is becoming such a good train traveler. Sometimes he amused himself by sitting on my lap and watching the scenery flash past. Sometimes he just checked out my handbag to see if it had some snacks in it for him. He just watched his dad at work. But that was pretty boring. So most of the time, he just snuggled down on the floor on his comfy, fluffy rug and slept the day away. In Paris, we stayed with our friend Antoine, and while my husband was at his conference, Antoine took Arthur and I out to enjoy Paris, despite how cold it was. For instance, we meandered around the Saint-Germain district where one of several famous cafes is Les Deux Magots. A little way down the street is another famous cafe, Café de Flore. Arthur was much more interested in all the French doggy smells on the pavement. We also visited some of Paris's famous department stores such as Le Bon Marché. Most of the stores were beautifully decorated for Christmas. In fact, the whole city seemed to have got a bit of its pre-pandemic vibe back. It was almost like old times. The window shopping was fun, if sometimes a bit overwhelming. Antoine treated me to lunch at one of his favorite restaurants. Oops, Arthur, this isn't for you. Sorry. You have to stay down. The restaurant specializes in soufflé. Mine was a vegetable one and Antoine's was cheese. They were so good, we also had a sweet soufflé for dessert. One afternoon, my husband could leave his conference early and join Arthur and I for a long walk along the River Seine. As there were so few tourists, Arthur could enjoy a lovely run with lots of freedom off his leash. Another afternoon, without Arthur, I visited the Orsay Museum with its famous clock view of Paris. On our last evening, we went to dinner with Antoine, Leila and Ahmed, friends from Qatar who were also in Paris for the conference. There was a good spirit to the evening, with a lively pianist and a friendly and competent waiter. Arthur was the perfect guest, snoozing under the table. The restaurant is also one of Antoine's favorites and was perfect for our last evening in Paris. Thank you, Antoine, for being such a wonderful host. Antoine's apartment was only about 20 minutes walking distance to the Eiffel Tower, and my husband took Arthur there each morning for an early run before his conference. But on our last morning, before catching our train, we all went together. In normal circumstances, this area would be full of people, but now there was space for Arthur to enjoy just being his usual active self, and he could burn off lots of energy. We knew this would make him happier to take a long nap on the trip home. So our short business/pleasure trip came to an end, and it was onto the train and back to Liechtenstein. A final treat to be mentioned was the arrival of a parcel from our Dutch connection. Remember Jorn, Clemens, Eva and Björn from my last video? It's a set of bowls, just like the ones they have in France that I admired so much. Arthur and I thank you guys. They're lovely. Who's a lucky boy to have such good friends? Well, everyone, that's all for the moment. I'll be back shortly to briefly show you our eventful Christmas and New Year. Now, I say it every time, but if you do want to keep up with Arthur's life, please subscribe to our channel and please comment. We love them. Thanks for watching and see you soon.